Hey, y'all, my name's Bryant Young.
And Derek Chaney.
Here with the Decent Dads Podcast, brand new episode.
Yeah, another new one, another great guest, man, sharing
This one was fun.
It was, man. I mean, I feel like both of us kind of knew Will's story a little bit, but he dove into it today, and man, it is a great, crazy story.
Yeah, they dealt with some major medical issues in the first several months of their daughter's life, and he told the story and what they're doing now and how they've overcome that and how great that little girl is doing now. It's a really fun story. Excuse me, it's not a fun story. It's a heartwarming story.
Yeah.
But hearing Will having the care and having the hope in his voice, it's a pretty cool story to hear.
Yeah, and just talking about all the life changes that they've had to go through since becoming parents, right? And it's such a great story, such an encouraging story. Really can't wait for everybody to hear it.
Plus, there was at least one good dad joke.
We won't say who, but
at least there was at least one
pretty
good one.
solid. It was pretty solid. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I think we jump right into this.
Let's do it.
Decent Dads Podcast. Here we go. Welcome back to the Decent Dads Podcast. We're here to tell dad jokes, drink coffee, and build a community of dads navigating fatherhood together. I'm Bryant Young, fearless leader, co-host, girl dad, and your friendly local insurance agent based out of Springfield, Missouri. And now, before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome the coolest co-host with the most, a fantastic soon-to-be father of three, and the home loan expert. Folks, put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Derek Chaney. How are you, Derek?
Hey, doing good. As always, it's a good day for a good day.
It's a good day, man.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Got hoppy coffee in hand.
We do have the hoppy coffee. These coffees are actually brought to you by our friends at Buff Studio, the official coffee sponsor of the Decent Dads Podcast. Buff Studio is a full-service architecture, engineering, and design firm with offices in Bentonville, Arkansas, and Springfield, Missouri. Learn more at buffstudio.co. Thanks, Buff Studio, for your support of the podcast and decent dads everywhere. Buff Studio, be a buffalo. Thanks, Buff Studio.
Woo. But have I told you look good in red? By the way?
I agree.
Yeah. Just
I
wanted
agree.
to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Episode with that. But no, I am excited.
I was like, what are these guys talking about right now?
I was like, guys, this episode's about me.
Yeah, hey, I'm
okay?
here.
We should compliment each other
Quit
for an
BSing
hour
over
and a
here. But no, we have an awesome guest and an awesome hair that's on my microphone there. But thank you. But our guest today is Will the Thrill Black.
Wild Bill Black is in the house.
No, Will, we're excited to have you. I know Bryant and I have known you for a little bit. Been in Rotaract together.
Yet another in a long lines of Rotaract presidents in the house.
The lineage is strong.
Exactly.
Lineage is strong, yeah. But no, like I said,
Bring that in close. There we go.
we're excited to have you. We know you fairly well, we think, anyways. But some people might not. So if you will, tell us who you are, what you do, give us your dad resume, tell us how many kids you got, what are their ages, and which one's your favorite.
All right, sounds good. So my name is Will Black. I work at Legacy Bank and Trust here in Springfield, just down the road from where we're recording this episode.
Yeah.
So
Convenient.
I'm a multifamily underwriter there. I deal with apartment loans, commercial loans, commercial mortgages there. I am married. I have one wife and one wife.
Yeah. So you gotta say that.
One kid and one dog. So me and my wife Judy, we've been married for just over 5 years. Here in a couple months, we're going to celebrate 6.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Congrats.
5.5 years, and we have one little baby girl named Olivia, aka Livy.
Oh yeah.
And she just turned 1 this past weekend. Celebrated, had a big old birthday party with all of our family and friends, and she body slammed a cake.
Did she really?
Body slammed it. Yeah, we just put it on the
so
ground, and she just went in, and then eventually just jumped on it.
I'm going
makes me
all
so
in.
happy.
Didn't even use her hands, just straight,
Went right for
straight
it.
mouth, right to the cake. So,
You have
That makes
to.
me so happy.
You have
I
to.
love that.
It's the only way to
so
do
obviously, I have one daughter, and she is absolutely my favorite.
Yes.
Even though we do have a dog, and sometimes she gives her a run for the money.
Depends
But
on who
for the
pooped in
most
the house
part,
that day.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Bump down
For
on
the
the totem
most
pole
part,
there.
The human baby is my favorite.
Yes. Understood.
That's good.
Well,
Fair.
my wife is Liv. I call her Livy. So your daughter's name is particularly important to me.
Yeah, this won't get confusing.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'll try not to call her Livy. So we talked a little bit about this ahead of time, but something we talk about in every single episode is tantrum of the day. But you mentioned it's like, well, my kid's not really talking yet, but I think I have some ideas. So what are you dealing with at your house? What kind of tantrums do you have?
So the tantrums are always awesome. They're so much fun. My wife usually calls our baby a Sour Patch Kid because she is sour and then she is sweet and she's crawling. So very shortly thereafter, she will be gone.
Yeah,
just like a Sour Patch
running
Kid.
away.
Just, army crawl, hands and knees, doesn't matter. She's gonna
love
get
that
there.
comparison.
So recently, it's just a constant battle of she will move to one area of the kitchen or one area of the living room, and then she'll get into something and I'll move her 5 feet away, and it's like I've just beaten her and abused her because
How dare you, Dad?
Yeah, I know. I was over here about to pull on this chair, and you moved me over here by the couch. Why
all
would
the
you
way
do
back
that?
there.
Exactly. She's got to start all over again. But as I said, just like Sour Patch Kids, they last for 15 seconds.
yeah.
She'll scream her head off, and then just like a fly, it's gone, and she's back to being
Squirrel.
a happy,
Sure.
normal baby.
Squirrel.
So-
Just,
Right.
off.
Yeah.
Oh
over
yeah,
there.
exactly.
Did Livy do any like funny crawling first? Because I know like some kids, some of them do the butt slide, or some of them do we're only going to crawl backwards.
Brody would put his head on the floor and just push with his legs,
Yes.
no arms. And,
I was hoping you
Yeah.
would say that.
So
Yeah.
ours, before she started that, she would get mobile by laying on her back. And she would do like glute bridges and like push herself across.
What?
Like,
Oh, I love
glute
that, like
bridges.
bridging off her
Yeah.
shoulders.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
she would like
okay,
push
okay, yeah, yeah.
backwards towards her head. Yeah,
Whatever
it was
works.
The weirdest
It's like the
thing
crab
ever.
walk when we were
Right,
kids
I
in
know,
elementary
that's
school.
kind of what
right?
I was thinking.
She couldn't move when she was on her belly, so she would literally flip
So,
over and like just
Smart girl.
push herself around
I
on her
love
back.
that. The
Yeah.
ingenuity
So-
of little tiny kids is hysterical.
Oh,
It
right.
is
The stuff they come up
insane.
with.
What about you, DC?
Let's see. Last week, sometime recently, we moved Brody to a big boy bed.
Did you really?
Out of the
Nice.
crib, so nothing to
Dang.
cage him in,
I
basically.
was gonna say with that kid, that's brave.
Yeah, and this was something we've been dreading and really been putting off for quite some time, and we're like, you know what, we gotta bite the bullet eventually.
Yeah,
so
sure.
we just decided to do it one day, and now every time for nap time, he knows he can get out of bed, and bedtime. And so he gets out and he goes to the door and he just loses his shit for about, you say, like 15 seconds. Like, it's not long now. But it cracks me up because he'll lay down and to where he can see underneath that crack of the door. And if
Does he?
And if he sees me or Allie sees our feet in the hallway, Mommy, Daddy, rah, and just like loses it. And it's like, dude, come on. But it's like, he has to learn somehow. And it's, you feel bad seeing your kid laying on the floor there during
Sure.
bedtime and nap time. But at the same time, like today, Allie said during nap time, whenever she woke him up, he was laying on the floor, cuddled up with his Nerf gun.
That sounds about right.
So I'm like,
sounds like a boy.
Probably
after my
he's
heart
still
there.
having a good time.
That's so funny.
But yeah, no, we dealt with the same thing with Liam. So luckily this time around again, we know it's short lived. It's just time being. But
So how early did you guys move Liam into the big kid bed? Because I
Right.
just put Elsie in there, and she's 6 months older. than
Liam
your
was
son.
like, it was right when we moved into the new house. It was when he hit 2. Yeah.
God
just
dang, I'm like
'cause-
a full 6 months behind you.
Yeah, because we had to take the crib apart to move it, and we're like,
Sure,
screw
might
it.
as well put another
Well, he
wall
didn't
back
even get
there.
a bed. He got
Yeah.
he got a mattress for like the first 2 or 3
Sure.
months that he was sleeping.
Yeah.
So that kind of got him used to it. But
Well, and you've got Liam in a loft now, which
which he loves.
yeah, his son's in a lofted bed, and Elsie goes running into Liam's room. And wants to climb up there. And I'm like,
Okay.
dude, I'm not sure you can get up there yet. But
Yeah.
up we go. And so Elsie's trying to climb herself up the ladder. And it's like, you're going to fall and break every bone in your body.
Right.
And
So that's the kind of the next terrifying phase is Brody's going to share a room
Yeah.
with
I
Liam.
wondered about that.
And it's going to be that same bed, which Brody's supposed to sleep on the bottom, but he already knows how to climb up the ladder and get to the
Does
top.
he really? That's so
And then, but it's funny
Dangerous.
right now
So
when he's at the top, he's like, "Daddy, help! Daddy, help! I need down."
I can get up here. I just can't
Yeah.
get back down.
Which we're working with him on that, but
Sure.
still, it's like, that kid, he's gonna break a bone on that bed or something.
Mine's starting to crawl. We have like a little nugget that kind of sits
Yeah.
in the middle of the living room,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes we actually put it next to the couch, and she'll climb up from the nugget to the couch, and then over to the edge, like the armrest of the couch.
Yep.
So I mean, she's a full 2.5 feet off the ground,
Oh, yeah.
and she doesn't really realize it. She's
Oh, yeah.
hanging over the thing, and it's like you're gonna fall, and it's
Right.
not gonna
Sis,
end well.
you're
for
going to
you.
bump
Yeah.
your head, and then we're all going to be
Right?
upset.
It's
Yes,
not gonna
exactly.
feel good.
Has she done any of that, like rolling off the couch or anything like that at all?
A couple times.
Yeah.
yeah. I
Scares
mean, it's
the crap
mainly
out
just
of
like
you.
standing up on something and then kind of getting tired and then just like kind of letting go
and
falling
falling
backwards,
over.
hitting your head, and then screaming for.
That's the kind of stuff that
it'll happen. Don't beat yourself up
exactly.
over it.
It's definitely going to happen.
Then you just get used to it. Like Brody, that's like a daily occurrence for him, and
that boy's a bowling ball,
and he laughs about it. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
What about you?
So mine's not so much a tantrum. It was just more of like a sad milestone for us.
Okay.
Like her best little friend from school. She and this little girl had been in the same classroom since Elsie was 4 months old. This little girl is like 60 days. Exactly.
Yeah.
This kid is like 60 days older than Elsie. They are best buddies. Their first names start with the same letter. We got handed this other little girl several times in the little baby room.
This is not
because
my baby.
They look so similar, little blonde-head, blue-eyed girls, and they have just been inseparable for years, running up and giving each other big hugs. Well, that little girl went to a different daycare.
Oh no!
About 2 weeks ago, and we're friends with her parents. Like we text with them, we've hung out with them on the weekends a couple of times. Like they're really, really cool people, and they just wanted to go to a different school. And it was heartbreaking to see Elsie's reaction the first couple of mornings, where she got to class or something, and she would ask for, "Where's so and so?" And she wasn't really tantrumy. She was just sad.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't get to see her at school. I miss her. That was her. That was her line. I miss her. I miss
so
her.
sad.
It breaks my freaking heart, man.
Yeah.
Like the most heartbreaking thing in the world. So it's not her screaming and yelling about anything. It's just she's actually showing like slightly mature emotions for a little kid. Where it's like, no, it's not just screaming, yelling. It's I miss her.
Yeah.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. Liam had like in his daycare, they follow the school year basically every August, not necessarily when they hit
cohort, don't they call that?
Yeah, but they do it just like you would regular school. Like you're not in the same class whenever you move up. You have different kids in your class.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like when Liam started, he was in a class with all girls. It was just him and all girls, and then now it's about 50-50.
A little more mixed. Yeah.
You know, but yeah, so like I don't know if there's any of the same kids in his class now that when he first started like 2 years ago, but it's funny. Yeah, he had a little best friend, and she got put in the other class, and he would always come home and be like, yeah, he's like, I played with my best friend today, and
that's awesome.
And then whenever we switch classes, we'd be like, are you sad, that she's not in your class anymore? He's like, no, I made new best friends.
That's so good. That's hilarious.
I wish I had that attitude.
Already
like,
moving on
right,
to the
just
next
boom,
brand.
next one. I'm like,
for
okay.
sure. Well, this other little girl's mom is an absolute go-getter too. Elsa and this other little girl were not in the same. It was either 1 or 2 year old class when they were moving up. And so she went to the office and said, hey, we're going to need you guys to do some rearranging to make sure the girls are in the same class. And they did it for us.
Oh, dang.
Because I was going to have to do it because I wasn't going to let that happen. But
Yeah,
keep going, though. Sorry, I'm coming up on a tangent.
They got to learn sometime.
Dang it.
But
it's sad, man. Broke my heart.
Right, yeah. So, you think of a good dad hack or dad advice for that. We could use a little bit on kid emotions, right? But yeah, Will, that's the next thing we always ask everybody is, what's a good dad hack?
Dad hack alert!
That's worked well for you, or maybe some good dad advice that somebody gave you that you want to share.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is one that I've kind of given to a couple of my friends who are expecting, and I had a friend specifically recently. He was kind of freaking out. He's like, what do I need to do? What do I have to get? And it's like, I don't really have anything for you. Like, it's really hard because being a father is not hard. It's not complicated. It's easy what you're doing. It's just consistency. So I would say don't sweat the small stuff.
Well
and it's
said.
really hard to do, especially, when you bring your first one home, especially for us as well.
Yeah.
It was really hard to just get out there and really do just the day-to-day work. But really just sitting down, you're not going to mess up that hard.
Sure.
That bad. It's not really going to, you're not going to kill your kid. If you're there and you're consistent for a long term, everything's going to work out all right for you.
Yeah.
So I'd say don't sweat the small stuff is really what I have and I've given other friends advice for.
That's solid. I like your comment about consistency too.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Yeah.
We talk about routines all the time, but setting that, you just keep doing the same things over and over again until you build that habit for you and for the little one.
Yeah.
Because you make less mistakes when you're used to doing it, and they understand life more when they're used to doing it. So that makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, and you kind of have, which we'll get into this here in a little bit, but you have a little bit of a unique story too, and so I wonder if that's kind of helped with your perspective on that, because I definitely did not have that perspective.
Yeah,
whenever I brought my firstborn home. I sweated everything. But yeah, no. Speaking of my firstborn, that's I don't even know if this is really a dad hack, but something that kind of a coming of age thing / I've been looking forward to for quite a while. But teaching your kids to buckle themselves into their own car seats is a game changer.
Like just plunk them in and then off they
no,
go?
like we don't even do that. We tell Liam, like, hey, bud, it's time to go. Get in the car and go buckle yourself in. So he can open the door now, luckily. So he opens the door.
That's how tall that kid is. Good and bad is exactly right.
Yeah, he crawls in the bottom and then crawls up in the car seat, and he knows how to buckle himself in, and we always check him, but he's really good too about, he knows there's 3 clips, the chest clip and then 1 clip down low and 2 clip down low, so he lets us know if he hasn't hit all 3 clips yet. But dude, it is so nice only having to buckle in 1 child right now. Like, game changer. It probably only saves us maybe a minute. I don't even know if it saves us that much time, but it seems like eternity.
But that is like a stressful thing, right? Like, you gotta, if they're fighting you or wiggling around or anything, but if they're motivated to do it themselves, how awesome is that?
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's still like so new. Like, he loves doing it.
Oh yeah,
like
the novelty hasn't worn off.
Yeah, like feels like such a big kid. So
does he unclip himself too?
So he hasn't learned.
Scary.
Okay.
He hasn't learned to unclip yet.
Let's wait like a couple years.
Yeah. Which again, kind of same thinking behind that. We're not really rushing that side of things, but yeah, clipping himself in is, man, loving every minute of it.
That's awesome. Well, mine actually goes back to what you were talking about during your tantrum. We recently made the shift, apparently too late, according to Derek.
I didn't say that.
I know you didn't. I did.
You're on your own timeline, big guy. You do you.
Made the shift to the big kid bed, and we've got a noisemaker in Elsie's room that plays. I think everybody's got one, right? But Elsie's is programmable with colors as well. So it'll, you turn it on, and she's used to it being pink because that was the color that it came with, and so it's been pink ever since. But when we did the big kid bed, I don't remember who told us to do this, but it might have been Jeff and Lindsay Coffey that do it. But they started setting it to red at about midnight. And the idea was, if it's red, stay in bed.
Right.
And so then you program it, because you can set it with programming for times. Nice. You set it to 6:30 in the morning or whatever time you want the kiddo to get out of bed, to then turn to green.
Right.
And then, okay, you can't come out of your bed. If it's red, stay in bed until that turns green, and then you can come out. Hasn't really worked yet. Elsie woke us up at 4:45 this morning, and was
and that light was red.
Poking Liv in the forehead, poking me in the forehead. Liv looked at me and goes, "Can you take her, please?" I was like, "Yeah, I got her." So we got up and read books at 5 o'clock in the morning. But I like the concept, and we're still trying to drive it home. And she will say it back to you. If it's red, stay in bed.
Right,
so we're slowly but surely working our way toward it. We're like a week into it, so I don't expect it to work yet. But I really liked that thought process, and it's just something that's
a good one.
Super easy.
We haven't implemented it yet, but our Allie's brother and sister-in-law, they do it with their boys. And they're good at it. Yeah, they'll wake up, while it's still red, but they know, like, hey, we stay in our room until it turns green, and sure enough, whatever time that is, and then they come out, and it works out well. So yeah, that's something that's awesome. We're thinking about trying too. So
I think it's great.
Just got to get there.
Just got to get consistency. You'll get
the consistency.
Exactly.
Man, Will,
look at him.
Bringing the advice, coming in clutch.
So we started to talk about this a little bit, talking about you bringing Livy home. Tell us the story of Livy coming into this world and her first several months of life.
Yeah, I assume you want the Reader's Digest version.
I want as much as you
podcasts full of it.
Yeah, I want as much as you want to talk about it.
So, my baby, she's just over a year old now. However, she developmentally is about 4 months behind. My wife's water broke at 25 weeks and 4 days. Dang. So barely halfway through her pregnancy. Her water breaks. So that was a story in and of itself. Rush her to the hospital. don't have a bag, don't have anything, because we're still 14, 15 weeks away from this happening.
Sure.
So we rushed her to the hospital, and sure enough, her water was broken, as we suspected. So we spent a couple days in the hospital before the baby even came. So a lot of people think, oh, your water breaks, you're going to have a baby right now.
Right.
It's not always the way, it works.
Sure.
So the goal is actually for any woman who has their water break that early is to keep the baby in until 32 weeks. So the goal was to keep her in the hospital. You can't leave the hospital because your water's broken, the baby's coming any time, for 8 weeks of that. For us, it was almost 8 full weeks. Actually, 34 weeks.
I didn't realize it was that long. Oh,
so,
my gosh.
50% of women who have their water break have their baby within a week. So that clock, we were just sitting there watching that clock at first. Like, hopefully we can get past this first week. Because after you get past the first week, the odds are that you're going to make it, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. Okay. And that development for the baby is extremely important, especially in that you're really only in the second trimester.
Sure.
Still at that point. So, or maybe, right around the second trimester for her, towards the end. So our baby ended up coming 2 days after that. So 25 weeks and 6 days. She was 1 pound, 9 ounces.
Oh my gosh.
So
that is
she was,
so tiny.
11.9 inches long. Gosh. So like her body fit for the most part just in the palm of my hand. I could hold her in the palm of my hand. She was so tiny. 720 grams. It's 1 pound, 9 ounces.
Yeah.
So with any baby that was born premature like she was, micro preemie, any baby less than, I think it's 2.5 or 3 pounds is a micro preemie. The goal is to try to get them out of the hospital at what would have been 40 weeks gestation. So for us, that was 14 weeks. We were supposed to, aim to get out of the hospital. And some happen sooner than that, some happen later than that. For us, it was actually quite a bit later than that. We were in the hospital, multiple different hospitals actually. We were in Mercy here in Springfield. 5th floor. I know it like the back of my hand. I was there for, We were here in Springfield for 6 weeks.
That was your home for so long.
And then she actually had an eye disease that we had to have transferred. We were transferred to Columbia, Missouri. So we were in Columbia for another 13 weeks. So 19 full weeks, 133 days. We were fighting the NICU, and she was in there the entire time. It wasn't really touch or go other than the first couple weeks, but it felt like an eternity.
Oh my gosh,
I can't even imagine. Yeah.
It was really weird. It was like they put you in a box and they shake it up, and then they just put you out and release you back into the world. It's like I'm supposed to go home.
Yeah, what do you mean?
I'm supposed to go take care of my dog.
That's what I.
It was a very, very trying time. Yeah. And people ask all the time, like, "Oh, how did you do it?" I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you take care of your baby when you have 2 hours of sleep?
Yeah.
And, they're up at 5 a.m. How do you do it?
Yeah.
But you can't just sit there and have a bad attitude.
Yeah.
What's that going to help?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
you just got to do it.
You just got to get through it. And we had a ton of love and support from family, from friends, coworkers, everybody. I think both of you actually reached out and texted me and said, what can I do? I probably didn't respond, honestly.
Yeah, which
rightfully so.
There was a long battle. So 19 weeks. We finally made it out. Got off of all of our respiratory support, got cleared from all of our eye doctors from the eye diseases that she had in the end of June 24th. So we finally got back. Her due date was May. So we were about 5 weeks after her due date. So we were even longer in the NICU than most people are.
Right.
But it was definitely a trying time. But I think that gives you a perspective when you get home.
Sure.
It's like, this is nothing. She doesn't have...
Dude, that's so true.
Okay. It's so weird because, she didn't have any, oxygen coming into her mouth. She wasn't intubated anymore. She didn't have cords on her. Yeah. She wasn't being fed through a tube. Yeah. I mean, it was just like a perspective of these babies go through so much in the NICU. It's like it was easy.
Well, they're way sturdier, way stronger than you think they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was something I was going to ask you because I know, I think we had similar experience. We were only in the hospital for 2-3 days, and when they release you to go home, you're terrified.
Yeah.
But you're in the hospital for months.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, my mind immediately goes to, man, I've been in the hospital for months. I'm used to this, and then now I got to go home.
She's not near as fragile.
I mean, it definitely was. We were in Columbia when we got released, and they don't send you back in an ambulance.
Yeah.
So we had a 3.5 hour car ride home.
Oh my God.
I had a 10-minute drive home, and I was terrified.
Dude. Oh my God. I didn't even think about that.
And both me and my wife had separate vehicles up in Columbia.
Even worse.
So I'm driving behind my wife, and she has the baby, and she's called me every like 5 minutes, like, I think she's great. I'm gonna pull over to check.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You can't see her, right?
And
She's turned
like,
around. Yeah.
You know, we have a 3.5 hour car drive. We can't stop every 5 miles to check her. Like, I mean, I think she's.
But how many
okay.
how many every 5 mile increments did you stop? Because it would have been a ton for us.
I think we probably stopped the first like maybe 5 or 10 miles.
Sure.
And then we had like a stop that we were planning on doing. We stopped at my parents' house. They were kind of on the way back.
Yeah. And
so we stopped and saw them. So like that kind of broke it up a little bit.
Good.
I think we probably stopped at least 6 times in that time frame.
Yeah.
Dude, that drive from the hospital to my old house was 3 minutes, and I was white knuckle, hands at 10 and 2, doing 25 and a 40.
Right.
I can't even imagine driving on the highway.
Right.
They had things that make you go.
Yeah, and if you've been through Highway 5 between Lebanon and Camdenton,
where you're passing
it's like
and
this,
stuff,
and
sure.
then passing lanes, and then you got
corners, hills.
Yeah, a 250 hauling hay that's going to cut you off, and it's like, oh my gosh. So,
yeah,
that drive was a little stressful, but we made it through.
Yeah,
and I bet you could do that drive with your eyes closed now, because you were going back and forth from work during this whole 19 weeks as well too.
Went back and forth at least 15 times. About every week I was kind of back and forth. To check on the house, make sure everything was ready.
Sure.
We didn't have a nursery ready.
Right.
Our nursery wasn't even ready. So it was tough. So I would come back, every weekend or so, or every other weekend, and that was hard too, because my baby and my wife's 3 hours away. And I'm just gonna work on my house, which I did, but it was kind of so weird.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Surreal.
Yeah.
Surreal.
It was a tough time.
Yeah.
But
Did you gain like a monster appreciation for all the NICU nurses?
Absolute saints.
Oh yeah.
Every single one of them. Every single one of them are incredible.
We spent just the tiniest amount of time in the NICU because Else had a blood sugar issue, and so she was a big kid as opposed to being a small one, and I learned so much from those nurses about how to care for a little kid. I mean, the medical part of it aside, obviously that was the big part. That's what we needed them for. But they taught me so many little tips and tricks about how to hold the kid and how to get her comfortable and all of that. And so you got to see those pros at work for long periods of time.
Absolutely. And I know everyone hates going to the hospital.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing in the world. But when we were in that situation, we had world-class people. We had world-class doctors and nurses. You go to a nursing home and you press the call light and you might get someone in 45 minutes. You press the call light and there was a doctor, there was a nurse, and an NP there.
Dang.
And 20 seconds if you really needed something.
Yeah.
Like they were there, they were on top of it. Especially here in Springfield, they communicated extremely well. I have such a deep appreciation for all the staff there here in the NICU for sure.
Oh, those people, like you said, I mean, you used the right word. Those people are saints.
Yeah. Well, Will, knowing you, as well as we do, we know that, once you had the opportunity to bring Livy home, some things changed in your household as far as, work-wise goes for you and for Judy as well. So,
yeah, how's Judy?
How's Judy doing with all this? And kind of tell us a little bit about what's changed there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So my wife, she was a teacher for 6 years before all this started. And our baby, with all the struggles that she had in the NICU, she had some issues with her lungs, so we didn't really feel comfortable sending her to like a daycare or
I don't blame
school or anything
Dude,
like that.
all we do is
daycares are
get
nasty.
sick. All we do is
just
get sick.
constantly
For real.
sick.
Yeah.
So my wife decided to stay at home, and it's crazy because she never really thought she would want to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
But 2-3 months into our journey, there in the hospital, she's like, I don't want to give up any extra time with my baby. And, more power to you if you want to go back to work, more power to you if you don't. That was the decision that we made for our family that made the most sense.
Yeah.
So
all that
she
matters.
was a stay-at-home mom, and it was really hard to, shift her identity.
Sure.
Because she's an incredible teacher. She's incredible with kids, knows so much, has so much patience for these kids. So shifting her mindset to, I'm not a teacher anymore. I'm just a caregiver.
Sure.
That was really hard for her. When the school year started back up,
Yeah.
she had a ton of anxiety and, self-worth problems. Like, what am I doing? I used to do this. Now I have to do this. So it was a struggle at first, but she's really moved into her own. She loves being home with the baby. I mean, there's a strong likelihood that this is our only kid. I know it's early. She's only a year old, but going through this experience, it's like we don't want to risk anything even.
No,
Sure.
it changes
Ever
your whole
again.
experience. Sure.
So there's a likelihood that it's one and done. So I'm going to spend as much time as I possibly can with the baby. And I'm frugal, I'll be honest. But I was the first one to say, look, we can figure it out. You don't need to bring in a salary.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, you're never going to get this time back. What's it? 3 years, 4 years,
Right.
5 years?
Sure.
Who knows?
Exactly.
We can figure it out somehow. And we did. We have. And we're doing okay. I mean, we're not lighting the world on fire by any means, but the joy that she gets being the stay-at-home mom is incredible.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you referenced Judy's patience and how great a teacher she is. Well, Livy's going to get the full benefit of that.
Right? Yeah.
For
What
sure.
better person?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how awesome to have mom who also happens to be an extremely good teacher and an extremely
absolutely.
well-trained person for exactly this. Like, that's got to
Exactly.
be great.
Yeah, she's going to be running circles around, her kindergarten class. For
That's
sure.
great.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
for,
yeah.
for real. Yeah.
I
Be
assume
like,
she's
this
already
kid
reading.
doesn't even know how to do math.
Yeah.
Like,
What do you
can't
mean
even
you
do
can't
multiplication
read?
at 3 years old?
Right. Yeah.
Do you guys, is there a plan to do some of that kind of teaching stuff? Does Judy have like a curriculum written out or anything? Do you
She
know?
has it all in her head.
Does she really? Okay, I wondered.
Yeah. 6 years. Yeah.
I
she's
have
pretty
no
good.
idea. I'll be honest. I don't
Same.
understand, education, especially with kids that little.
Of course.
She was
I mean,
a
she's
kindergarten
one.
teacher and a first grade teacher. So, I mean, she understands the little
Yeah.
kids. She has plans to do things. I'm not aware of them.
Got it.
Just
Yeah.
yet.
I
I'm
just-
just the dad.
I just wondered. Yeah, right. We're just decent dads, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just wondered because you see, we've had some folks on that were like, they've got a regimented. This week we're working on this.
Oh,
Next
yeah.
week we're working on that, like Kevin and Sandy did. And then I think other folks are way more fly by the seat of their pants. And so I'm fascinated by like the different people
There is,
arrangement for that.
we do have a therapist that comes in every month to
you beat me to
do
the punch.
physical therapy and things like that. So not necessarily like mental curriculum and things like that,
Yeah.
but
Right.
developmentally for learning how to crawl, learning how to sit up, learning the appropriate ways to do this, making sure she's sitting up appropriately so her spine doesn't round, and
Oh, yeah.
learning how to crawl. And recently we're going to start with sippy cups and things like that. So she is working on a lot of those things. She has
Awesome.
exercises to do and certain regimented things that she does. But here in the future, it will definitely move towards more of like a curriculum for, math and colors and
Yeah.
Love
shapes
that,
and
man.
things
That's
like
so
that.
cool.
Yeah. Well, I think the important thing too you hit on there a minute ago was, doing what's best for your family, not really caring about what everybody else thinks or what you think they think, right? Just doing what's best for you. Because it's so funny, man. I know so many people, and I was one of them. I'd be like, man, I would never want to be a stay-at-home parent, or who would want to be a stay-at-home parent? Once you have kids,
The world changes.
once you have kids, and then especially once they start talking, they're like, Dad, why are you going to work? Just play with me. You're like, F it. F work, man. I'll be a stay-at-home dad any day. Right? So it's just, man. Good,
Me and my
good
wife
for
both had
Judy,
that
man.
conversation. Like, if I had an opportunity to be a stay-at-home dad and she needed to go to work, I'd probably do it.
Oh,
In a
after
heartbeat.
having kids now? Absolutely. Pre-kids? No way. I'd be like,
Yeah.
no,
Not a
why would you
chance,
do
not a
that?
chance.
No, there's
I mean-
there's no shame in my game for that either. I'm the
Yeah.
same
Oh, I
way.
would do it in a heartbeat if
Yeah.
I needed to.
Yeah, I mean, if that
For
was,
real.
I mean, yes, it's. Not, I'm not saying it's not any harder than anything else, but I would gladly accept that. That's well, and we've talked about something several times, and it was one of my main takeaways from the first year of doing this was that comparison is kind of the thief of joy.
Yeah.
Right. And you were talking about how she is developmentally a couple of months behind where a kid that is her age would be, but understanding that she was born several months premature.
Yeah.
So it all kind of comes out
Evens
in
out,
the
yeah.
wash. How has that journey been for you and for her, kind of getting development and kind of getting your heads wrapped around some of that? Are you pretty accepting of that pretty quick?
No,
or?
yeah, for sure. The funny thing is about it, her due date was actually May 22nd, and her birthday was, middle of February. And so people always ask, like, oh, well, we just celebrated her first birthday because she was born in February, not
Right.
in May.
Yeah.
And someone was like, oh, well, it's not even her birthday. It's like, yeah, it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, she was
birth is
born
when you
Yeah.
emerge
You-
from mom,
Yeah,
dude.
exactly.
Did you sound that word out? Birth.
birthday. Yes,
Yeah,
that's when
oh,
she was
okay,
born.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
her
yeah.
due date, like, no one
Yeah,
cares what your
right?
due date
No.
Yeah,
is. Just
yeah.
birthday.
No, that's not how that works.
But yeah, we're accepting of that fact. Like, normal 1-year-old may or may not be like standing up and crawling or walking. So we're going to be 3 or 4 months behind that. and we understand that. The therapists have all told us it's about 2 years before they really catch up to do normal 24-month-old things.
Sure.
Just because of that, but we'll get there.
Oh.
And there's no rush in.
And there's no like
certain timeline.
There's no letter grade.
Yeah.
Right. Like, oh well, if you're not walking by this time, then you get paid less money.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have any major like effect on
absolutely.
life or like there's not like a grade system that you're getting. It's just. This is our life. This is our kids' development, and this is where we are in the process.
Yeah. If you would have told me 1 year ago that in 1 year she's going to be completely off oxygen support and she can breathe on her own,
she's
and she's
crawling.
never going to need to. Yeah, she's crawling all over.
I mean, that's awesome.
You know, she's eating cake.
Yeah.
You know, by the fistful.
Mashing a cake, dude, on
I
her
never would have thought it.
birthdays.
So
Yeah,
we're a couple months behind, but we're so blessed to be where we are anyway.
Oh, for sure.
Well, it's like a couple months behind compared to what, too? Because, I mean, both my boys, they were on their own timelines. Liam, he walked early. Brody, he was a late walker. Now, you couldn't tell. Like, nobody cares about that stuff, right? I mean, they're all on their own timeline. So, I mean, honestly, for what little Livy went through, man, I think she's doing awesome.
Oh,
she's
unbelievable.
So awesome.
Yeah.
So
talk about So neither of you planned for your wife to be a stay-at-home mom. So I assume that those conversations weren't really had about like, well, here's how we're gonna do this. And this was just kind of a like, boom, we're staying home because this is what we need to do. How have those conversations been? Maybe talking about like the division of labor in parenting and understanding all that. How have you guys worked through that?
Well, first off, she's a stay-at-home mom. She does way more than me.
Sure.
I go and I sit at a freaking desk all day long.
Yeah.
You look at spreadsheets
call
and
it
respond
work,
to
okay?
emails, and she's over here chasing, a baby around and feeding her and cleaning up the house. Like, she does way
Changing
more.
crappy diapers.
Yes, she does way more than I do. So we'll just start there. But that doesn't mean I come home and I'm not tired.
Yeah.
So, but it always, I always come home and try to help as best I can.
sure.
For you.
And especially on the weekends. The weekends are kind of I'm going to take over and do my thing, and she's going to go, go out, go shopping, go do her nails, go coffee with friends, and things like that. But it's always a struggle because sometimes she wants to do that stuff with me.
Yeah.
And I am perfectly fine coming back Friday at 5:30, and I would not leave my house until Monday morning at 7:30. I am okay with that.
Yeah.
But she wants to go to Target. She wants to go to Marshall's.
She's been cooped up all week,
yeah, she's
right?
been cooped up.
Yeah.
Those sound like torture to me, but that's what she wants to do. So you just got to bite the bullet, and you have to, learn to be accepting of. She has only hung out with a baby who can't even speak to her.
Right.
For the most part. Like, yeah, she coos and caws and yells at you sometimes, but like, she doesn't have a adult conversation.
No.
So
No.
it is a struggle that we go through pretty much every Saturday and Sunday. It's I'd rather just stay home and hang out with the baby. She's like, no, but we need to go to the store and we need to get out. Yeah. And we do it.
Right.
But I don't want to go.
Right.
Yeah. And then I'm the one throwing the tantrum.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Well, and that was our experience with Liv pre-Elsie during the pandemic. Liv took a, job where she started a new job and then they sent everybody home like 3 months later. And then the pandemic happened and she never left. Again, we were working in the office, separating ourselves, closing doors, wearing masks and all that. But like we were still in the office. So I left the house every day and Liv didn't leave the house for weeks on end. Man. And kind of to your point, she thought she was going to love it until all of a sudden she definitely did not love it. And I would come home at the end of the day and I could see it in her face. And I was like, all right, so are we going to eat dinner in the park or what are we going to do? You want to go
walk around the neighborhood a couple times?
You want to go look at Fellows Lake? What do you want to do? We'll go do whatever you want to do. And it's just got to, anybody sitting in the house for an extended period of time is going to need that running around time. So that makes complete sense.
For sure.
Well, yeah, just adult human interaction time too,
Also
right?
that,
I mean, we
sure.
just, Valentine's Day was just a couple days ago or yesterday, whenever it was. And that was all Allie wanted to do. And she's not even a stay-at-home mom like Judy, and she's like, I don't care where we go. I just want to go somewhere that's me and you, and we can be around other adults, and we can have adult conversations. That's all I want.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, deal. That's easy.
We can make that happen.
I can deliver on that one.
Miss Rachel in her head. She needs to get out of it.
Right? Yeah.
What about because you guys before all of this, before all of the saga with Livy being born, you guys did the same thing we did, where you were married for several years before you have kids, and I know you have some thoughts on when you have kids, whether it's you wait a couple of years or it's right after you get married. I wonder if you would just talk about your kind of thoughts there.
Yeah. So me and my wife, we were married for almost 5 years before we were over 4 years before 5 when we got pregnant. So we spent a lot of time, just with ourselves, traveling, having a good time with ourselves, making sure we built our relationship. But that's not for everybody. We were constantly having pressure from other people, like, "Oh, you've been married for a year. When are you gonna have a baby?" It's like, well, when we want to.
Right.
Oh, you've been married for 2 years?
My timeline.
Yeah, it's our life.
So,
Bug off.
So we're not necessarily young parents. We're not necessarily old.
Sure.
I'm 29. My wife's a little bit older than me.
Yeah, boy.
She doesn't look. She doesn't look it though.
Yeah,
Will.
I know.
Okay.
I'm the bald one. So my brother is he has like a long curl or like a ponytail, and people always think because I'm balding a little bit that he's younger than me, and it kind of irritates me.
That's
he's
fair.
7 years older than me. So,
Even better.
She does look
so good.
She looks great.
Oh
She
yeah.
does. Where was I going with that? I don't even remember.
No, we're talking about age and how long you'd been together and people
Yes,
pushing
there
you
we
to
Yeah,
get,
so
have
I
kids.
mean, we were 30-ish when
Yeah.
we had kids. My parents were that way as well. It's your timeline. It's your family. It's your decision.
Preach.
Don't let anybody else influence you.
Yeah.
I mean, if we would have done what other people said, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
Yeah.
For sure. So, tough journey to get to where we are.
Sure.
But would we change anything? Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you guys actually had the exact same amount of time from when you got married to when you had kids that Liv and I did, and we experienced some of those same conversations from our group of buds. Not so much the Rotaract people, but just like several of my college friends, because particularly in Arkansas, there's nothing else to do other than go to college and then get
Make
married and
babies.
have kids. Because other than that, you're gonna go pick soybeans or something. And like a lot of my college friends, they got married right out of school and they had kids right out of school, and that worked perfectly for them.
Yeah.
And they have been the couple of my buddies that I think of in particular are some of the best parents I know.
Yeah.
But it's just that was not my timeline. I was not ready to have kids at 22 years old.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I was
right.
a shit in my
Yeah.
early 20s and into my 30s.
Still
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
What? Who said that?
Yeah.
I mean,
But I think everybody's timeline is just different.
Absolutely.
And you get to make your own decisions for that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Me and Allie talk about that all the time. Like, like, should we have kids younger? Because it's like, you look at people that had kids at, like 22, and it's like, well, then their kids are out of the house by their 40, by the time they're 40,
Sure.
right? And so, like,
And that's
that's
great
cool. But
for you.
Yeah, for you. But at the same time, too, like, I'm similar to what you were just talking about there. Like, maturely, financially, all these different things.
Yeah.
I was not ready to have a kid that young. And so I was super glad that we waited. And it's funny, I wasn't necessarily getting pressure from friends. It was my parents.
Were they on you?
Yeah,
I know
my-
everybody
my
does that.
wife's parent.
Were
My
they on you?
parent.
Hopefully they're not listening.
Not my wife's parents, because she was the youngest one. They already had grandkids from all the other kids. But my parents, there was no grandkids on that side. And so they were pushing us before we even got married. And I'm like, guys, chill. They're like, we're only
In the
getting
right
older. And
order.
I'm like, it's not my fault. You guys waited, because I think my dad was 28 whenever they had
Sure.
their first kid, which was how old I was whenever we had Liam. So I'm like, it's not any different, okay?
Yeah, so-
but that's challenging. Yeah.
I'm the youngest of 4, and so my brothers already have had their kids and are done. So we didn't
Yeah.
get pressure from my parents, but my wife is the oldest, and there's no other grandkids on that side.
Oh,
So that's where the pressure
enough
came
You
said.
felt that one.
the
Sure.
most. So
God, I
yeah,
can't.
it was
Yeah,
tough.
that's hilarious. I
dang
mean, that
parents.
was our experience, because Elsie was the first on my parents' side, but not on Liv's side. But my
Yeah.
mom and dad, my mom in particular, was very specific about, listen, I'm not going to give you guys pressure on that kind of thing. I'm also not going to give you guys any pressure on how you choose to live your life. Whether it's if you want to live near us, awesome. If you don't.
Right.
And we're not going to push you on kids either, because I want to have a relationship with this kid, and I don't want to scare you away because I pushed you into it or anything like that. So,
yeah, no, that's something we joke about with my parents because they went from 0 grandkids to 4 grandkids in 2 years, or basically 2 years.
Yeah, because they're stacked right with Liam and Brody too. Right?
Yeah. My sister has 2 boys that are basically the exact same age as our 2 boys, and so now it's like, okay, holidays are crazy,
this,
and
Grandma.
it's like that's what you wanted. You guys can take them. We're taking a break. We're checking out. See ya.
But if I could real quick, I was also super happy with the arrangement with our group of friends too. Just so happened that we all did wait later. Several of us. I mean, you're 3 years younger than me, but that's kind of you're on the young end, and I'm kind of on the older end of that like little core group of friends of ours. And there are how many kids in
almost 20?
I mean, there's
5 and under.
5 and under. There's like 10 or 15 kids. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And they're all stacked in there just like sardines. It's going to be an amazing soccer team someday.
Yeah.
But it was fun to have those.
I mean, decent dads.
Yeah, exactly. All those decent dads.
Be sponsored by decent dads.
But yeah, it was fun to have that peer group of people.
For real.
Because I always think about I didn't want to be the old dad. Like that was something that I was very specific about, but I also then didn't want to try to force a relationship or force a kid.
Right.
Because my very best friend from college, Rusty, his dad is an older dad and is one of the best fathers I know. And so I for the longest time didn't want to do that, and then I met Big Russ. I was like, oh no, this is perfectly normal. Yeah, there's no problem there at all. The only thing I don't want to be is the old dad at soccer practice.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, can't keep up with the young dads, because I also think about it like there are some kids in Elsie's daycare class who I've met their parents, and I'm like, holy crap, I could almost be your dad. You are way younger than me.
So funny story on that. So my parents are older as well.
Yeah.
My dad was 42 when they had me, and my mom was 39.
Yeah. Okay.
So
what's up,
but
Chuck?
my mom, she had gray hair by the time she was like 45 because she had 4 rascals of
Crazy boys, yeah.
Yes, exactly, including yours truly. So we'd go to stores and we'd say, oh, can we get this? Can we get this? And she'd say, sure. And the cashier literally would say, oh, grandma's being nice to you.
Oh,
and my mom would just would glare at him like, are you serious?
Oh, yeah, that's a good death stare right there for sure.
Yeah.
Dude.
But on the plus side, I don't think she looks any different than she did 20 years ago.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, she's almost 70, and she probably looks just like she did when she was 50.
Right.
That's cool. Yeah, that's great.
That is funny. How you don't think they've changed it all, but then it's like you look at a picture when you were little and you're like, oh, okay, they have changed a little bit.
Yeah. Those kids keep you young, I guess, huh?
Yeah, speaking of stores, going to the grocery store with 4 boys, yeah, that's got to be fun, right?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
What's it like? Yeah,
terrible.
what's it like with one? As far as like getting groceries, like you and Judy, do you guys do it together? Do one of you go on, by yourselves?
Well,
what have you guys found that works
it's
for you?
2024. There's this crazy thing called an app that you can order.
The internet.
Okay.
Using them internets.
Which I love. I can grab it on the way home, just put it for 5:30.
Okay.
Just get it when I'm going home. But my wife
Grocery pickup deal.
hates it.
Yeah.
She wants to go to the store, and she wants to walk up and down every aisle. And it just drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Which obviously sometimes we don't think ahead enough to order groceries for the next day.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, what are we going to do? We have no food. So we'll go to the store, and I'll be pushing the cart, or I'll be pushing the baby. She'll be pushing the cart in just every aisle. And she's slow too. It's not like, okay, I need bread, I need milk, I need, meat, I need this.
Yeah.
And we're done. No, it's every aisle. And it's infuriating.
Yeah. Does it not bring you back to when you were a little kid and you had to go grocery shopping with your mom and you're there for like 2-3 hours?
Oh, yeah. We would always go to the
It's
Walmart Supercenter.
Yep.
And we'd be over on the other side.
Yep.
Me and my brothers would be over
looking
on
at
the other
toys,
side,
Hot
looking at the
Wheels.
toys.
Yep. I was right there too, dude. You talking about the online shopping and pickup. At first, I loved that too, but I have grown to hate it. Yeah, because
I'm with you.
and once you kind of think about it, Will, being a frugal person, you might kind of hate it too. But we realize we spend way more on groceries,
way more than you should,
doing it that way.
Doing it online?
Doing it online.
Interesting.
Yeah, because you don't actually like see what's in your cart. You don't really like see like, this bread is cheaper than that bread. Whatever
like the
it is.
physical representation of it in the cart.
Yeah. You're not like, you can't really see everything. But then two, the other thing is like, when they don't have something, when they're out of something, right? They replace it with something else, typically, right?
And they always get the more expensive thing.
Well, it's either the more expensive thing or it's something that you don't even like or that you won't even use, and so then that just
ends up getting thrown out.
Gets thrown away anyways, and you don't even use it. And so we did that for probably the first 3 years that we had kids was the online shopping, and then now recently, we went back to that. It is too back to routines. Man. Sundays, Allie goes, and that's her thing. She goes up by herself. I get the boys, and she goes shopping for 2-3 hours. And
that's funny. I guess it's going with your spouse that would irritate me.
Yeah, that's true because I guess we haven't really tried that yet. Yeah. So
that makes sense. Doesn't like to go grocery shopping with me because I get in the way.
Yeah,
I'm in her way, or I'm like, I'm trying to walk around her, or I'm trying to go to this other aisle, and it's just she doesn't like to go with me. But we have discovered that's what we do with the kiddo. Now that she can walk and walk around, particularly the Hy-Vee by my office, right? Okay. They've got the little tiny shopping cart.
Oh, sure. Yeah. They're so cute
it's
too.
Little like full blown metal shopping cart, and it's her little green cart. My little green cart. Can I go find my little green cart? And it's got a little flag stand on it or something, so you can see her when she's walking through the aisles. And I don't even get a cart anymore.
Really?
I just walk down the aisle with Elsie behind me pushing the cart, and I just throw things into the cart, and she's pushing it. And it's so awesome. Much fun, man. It's a blast. Yeah. Like my dad's a weirdo and likes grocery stores. Like if we go on when we went on vacation as kids, like he would go find the local grocery store and just go like, ooh, what kind of weird stuff do they have here? Like when we used to go to Hilton Head, he would go to the Piggly Wiggly because they don't have Piggly Wigglies around here. Nope. I want to go to that Piggly Wiggly. And so that has now transferred to me where I'm like, what kind of weird crap can I find in this grocery store? I want some of it. I want all of it.
Why not?
But yeah, the little shopping cart thing has been fun too. And that some of the places have the like race car attachments.
Oh yeah,
and stuff
Menards.
On the shopping cart. Yes, Menards has those too.
Love those, and the boys love them too.
So much fun.
Yeah, and they're smart with them too. They got 2 steering wheels. Where used to, I remember when we were kids, they only had one for one kid. So now both kids are happy with both steering wheels.
Think they're moving the cart.
Exactly.
Yeah. Neither of them are.
Right? Yeah. Oh no, like especially Brody, man, he's going to town on that thing. It's but then too, it's like you're the dad, so like you're having fun with it, and you're like just shaking the crap out of this cart. It's good. It's all fun. Well, one thing we've kind of grown to ask most of our guests is
it's a new reoccurring thing.
Every dad has some funny stories, whether your kid's 2 or 12 or 22, whatever it is, and I'm sure Livy has gave you guys plenty of funny stories already. So
plenty of material.
Share your stories with us. Basically, is what we're asking here.
The first story, and probably the best story, always happens to any dad when the mom is away. Mm-hmm. My wife is so much better than me at everything. So my wife goes away. I can't remember what she was doing. It was like on a Saturday night. She was out doing something. I couldn't tell you what it was.
Sure.
But every 3 to 4 days, we're bad. We only give our baby a bath like 3 to 4 days. Like she's a baby. She doesn't really crawl around, doesn't get super sweaty, doesn't roll in the dirt that much.
Totally get it.
Every 3 days.
You guys give your kids baths?
What is a bath?
Just kidding.
Just sprinkle some water. Call it a day. So she leaves, and right before she walks out the door, she says, "Hey, it's bath night. You have to give her a bath." I'm like, all right, whatever. That's fine.
Sure.
I can do that. I've done it before.
I can manage.
With and without her, usually when she's around. Mm-hmm. So I feed the baby. It's probably late, 7:30, 8 o'clock, about ready for bedtime. I feed the baby, give her a bath. Everything was great. And she loves just splash in her little angel little seat. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
But she splashes around, so she got all riled up, which is fine. So then I pull her out, and I go, and I set her on the bed. I brush her little teeth, get her all in a brand new sleeper, and I pick her up. I put her on my shoulder just like this, and I kind of had her draped a little over my shoulder because I was grabbing something else at the same time. Oh, no. And I turned, and I took 2 steps, and all the milk that she just ate all over the side of my shirt, all over down my pants, and obviously all over her brand new sleeper.
Yeah, of course.
And over her freshly bathed body.
Mm-hmm, yep.
And I'm sitting there in the hall, and it just drips all over the floor.
Yep.
And it's no fun. And I'm like, are you serious? And I was like, what do I do with the baby at this point?
Right.
I mean, she's covered in vomit. I don't want her to throw her in the middle of the living room and then crawl all over everything. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I did exactly, but somehow I get her, back in the bath. I have to draw a new bath for her. And in the middle of this, for some reason, my wife calls me. And I see my phone.
She just knew.
And I'm like, so I answer it, I put her on speaker. I'm like, yes, ma'am. And she's like, hey, how are you doing? She just wants to talk. I'm like, what do you want? She's like, well, why are you in such a bad mood? It's like the baby just vomited all over me right after I gave her a bath. And she's like, no, she didn't. What do you mean?
Want
no
pictures?
Yes, she did.
No, I promise it happened, babe. I'm smelling it right now.
And the funny thing is, I was on a roll too.
Yeah.
Like I got all this done in like 15, 20 minutes.
Feeling good.
I felt great.
Yeah.
And as soon as you feel good, that's when chaos happens.
Yep.
So that was one of the least fun stories or least fun experiences. But it's always fun to look back on.
Oh yeah,
It
sucks in the moment, but you'll look at it back fondly later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Not that you could ever look back and be excited about vomit necessarily.
But especially milk, that's the worst.
It was
And then that's one thing that cracks me up too. It's like, why is it that when mom is gone, no matter what happens, no matter how big, how small it is, why is it just magnified times
it is.
10?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like you get so much more stressed out.
Oh yeah. Well,
It's
and I look at it too. I was thinking about what you said too, where it's like, I was on a roll. I got it done in like 15 minutes. I fly through things when it's just me and Elsie because, and I'm sure you noticed this with Livy too, that she reacts differently when it's both of you as opposed to just one of you, and that's been our experience with Elsie. Elsie's a complete sweetheart when it's just one of the two parents, and so I can get through stuff so fast when it's just me and Els. But that's also, like you said, when stuff tends to go wrong. When everything's going too well, something's going to go wrong.
Oh, yeah. All the crazy stuff that happens is when mom's away. For sure.
Yeah.
She just has this aura about her that nothing bad happens when she's around.
Yeah.
It's 'cause she's
But
insane.
when it's just me, man, then it goes to
gonna
hell.
hit the fan.
Yeah, for sure.
Moral to the story: never get confident at parenting.
Yeah,
'cause then-
exactly.
Yeah,
Preach.
As
So
soon as you
freaking
think
true.
Shit's
you
gonna
have
hit the
figured
fan.
out,
Yeah, exactly. So true.
Just not.
for sure.
Well, I think we should go to everybody's favorite part of the podcast.
Oh, does Will know everybody's favorite part?
You know what it is? It's Dad Joke of the Week.
Oh,
All right.
it is.
I'm going to make the guest go first.
Oh,
Well,
no pressure.
So I'm going to
Will.
set the bar extremely low. And
Good,
then you guys
because
can
I've had
just
some bad
perfect
ones
beat it.
lately,
Me
and I
too.
really appreciate
yeah,
that.
we're on a row of stinkers so far.
So we talked earlier about going to the grocery store. My wife, she does not drink water. She can't drink water. Like, she's supposed to. She knows she should. But she loves soda, loves Gatorade, loves anything that's not water.
Got it.
But particularly, she loves lemon lime soda. And specifically the 0-calorie version. So the other day, I was in the grocery store. We forgot to pick up all of our groceries, of course. So I had to go right before I came back. And she says, grab a 6-pack of Sprite. I said, all right, I can do that. And always when I get home, she goes through all the stuff. She says, I told you to get a 6-pack of Sprite. This is 7-Up.
That's pretty good. I'm into that one. Yeah, that makes me happy. I like a little number joke. That's solid.
Oh, well, that was good.
Did I tell you guys about my friend that they got kidnapped? Got kidnapped by a group of mimes. Yeah.
Interesting.
They did unspeakable things to him.
They did. Yeah. Well done.
Sorry. All right, Derek, what do you got?
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. No. That was a good one. I like that. Well, you guys, you both have probably stubbed your toe once or twice, right? Hurts like hell, right?
Yes, it does.
That's fun.
So, I'm walking through the living room the other night, lights are off, don't really see where I'm going, stub shit out of my toe on the couch leg, right? I'm like, what the duck? Allie looks at me, and she gets pissed off because I used foul language.
That's a good one. Yes.
Foul language.
Finally!
That's the
Finally
first
got a
good
good
one I
one.
think we've had this season. That's not true. Sean had some good ones, but
Yeah, well, between me and you. Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay,
Will,
for
yours
sure.
sucks.
that was pretty good. Oh, wrap it up, DC.
Yeah, man. Well, we always like to close out our episodes with the Decent Dad's motto, keeping the bar within reach.
Keeping the bar within reach.
Right. No. In all seriousness, we're here to build a community of dads. We want to share stories. We want to tell jokes. We want to hear advice. So if you have any good stories, good advice, good jokes, share them with us. We want other dads to hear them as well.
Yep. Getting those comments.
That's right. Getting those comments. And speaking of, social media, we've had a lot of growth lately.
Yeah.
Since season 2 rolled out. So be sure and check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and now Apple Podcast. Like I said, share your stories, share your jokes with us. We'll steal them and use them on the show.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess all we really have to say left is way to go, decent dad.
Good job,
Way to go, Will.
dads.
Good job, buddy.
Love you, buddy. Anybody else have anything else? Anything we should talk about before we go?
I got nothing.
All right.
Nothing additional to add here.
Thanks for being here, man.
Appreciate it,
you.
Will.
This was a lot of fun.
You guys are awesome.
You know what? I guess we'll just finish with we'll see you next time.
I had Chipotle for dinner, and that was probably not a good idea.
I'm so glad I turned the camera on or the mic on right before you said that.
That's going to be a part of the cut.
Luckily,
cut
the
scenes.
bathroom's close, so
Very, very end.
I just like jump up and leave.